Hello again, everybody. You might have been wondering which of these many Blue Moon missions I'm going to be doing. I thought I would pick one of the Grit ones this time, just so that we've seen all of the COs. So, the Indirect Specialist this time. I have no idea why these two are still working together. They really don't seem to get along well at all. Totally different personalities. Grit's only reason for joining Blue Moon in the last game seemed to be some kind of nonsense with like a love triangle in the past, and then Olaf betrayed the entire planet by joining with the Black Hole Army, going behind Grit's back to do so even though they're supposedly on the same side. So I really don't know why they're still working together in this game. Anyway, it's a good thing that Olaf happened to combine Wake Grit up right now, because it turns out Black Hole is attacking, and Grit had just been napping on the job. So Olaf is kind of right to be angry this time. The combination of all the exclamation points in this mission's title, plus that Blue Moon has kind of this Russian theme to it, reminds me of the time when I got to meet Vitaly Komar, who was a dissident artist from the Soviet Union. One of those, I think, whose art was crushed in the famous bulldozer exhibit when Khrushchev sent in construction equipment to crush an art exhibit that he didn't like. Vitaly had this piece called The Ideal Slogan that ridiculed the propaganda posters of the era, that had just blank boxes with exclamation points at the end where you could put in whatever slogan you wanted, basically. Anyway, this chapter sets up Adder and Grit to be juxtaposed characters, but I feel like it's the weakest one of those 4 CO correspondences. I've mentioned before how each of the new Black Hole COs seems to correspond with a CO from one of the 4 countries. But with Adder and Grit, unlike all the other pairings, there really isn't that much in common. They're not the same in many ways, they're not really the opposites in any ways. I guess they're both weird-looking, gangly people. That's about their only similarity. Grit still doesn't really give an answer for why he's working for Blue Moon here instead of for Orange Star, but whatever. Okay, let's talk about our CO here. So you can see we have a very cool natural fortress with which to use all these indirects, and not surprisingly we're playing as the Indirect Specialist CO. He's the opposite of Max. They're both quite strong COs, but in this game, Grit is brokenly powerful, at least depending on the map. There's some maps where he's really pretty weak. Much as with Max, I feel like the notion of how Grit's personal skills contribute to his military command doesn't really make that much sense when you think about it. You know, Max is big and muscular, and they say therefore his tanks are really good, because tanks fight at slightly closer quarters than artillery do. I mean, that may be true, but a tank's main gun can still shoot for miles, so it's really nothing like a fist fight. Meanwhile, Grit over here is a great marksman with a handgun, and that apparently makes him really good also with artillery pieces that shoot shells on the giant arc, or with homing missiles launched by missile launchers. This doesn't really make that much sense even by cartoon logic, honestly. I'd argue that it would make more sense for him, a person who's good with handguns and whatnot, to be an infantry specialist. In any case, a very cool CO. Total opposite of Max. Both are quite powerful. So, with Grit, every single one of your direct combat vehicles, which is pretty much every unit in the game, with a few exceptions, has minus 20% attack power. Not even minus 10% like a lot of COs have with their weak units. He's really, really specialized. His indirect combat units, which basically just means artillery, rockets, and missiles don't count, and yeah, basically just artillery and rockets, have +1 range and +20% attack power. So that would seem like he's really, really weak, because he's weak with almost every unit and only has a slight bonus with some units. But it turns out, like, artillery are just so useful for Grit, with their 2 to 4 range and their massive damage, that you can really get by on basically just artillery, infantry, some anti-airs, maybe an occasional rocket. Which makes for, I think, a pretty cool and unique playstyle, which I appreciate. One thing I love about this game is it's, out of all the games in this series, it's the one where the COs are the most different in terms of playstyle. They're not necessarily well balanced, but at least they feel distinctive, and that's, I think, very valuable. Alright, let's look at his CO power and superpower. They're quite similar to one another. They cost an average amount, 3 stars and 6 stars. The boost his range further, and increases attack bonuses for his indirects from 20% to 40%. Notably, his superpower does not give any more attack. It's still just 40% bonus attack power, and does boost his range. So that means that his CO power is often a better deal, but, there certainly can be circumstances under which you really, really need that extra 2 spaces of range. Okay, so On this map, the enemy has a gigantic army of mostly MD tanks. There's even more hidden in the fog, plus some recons and 4 mechs. So it's kind of like the mission where you played as Sonya against Lash. But this time we're actually good within direction instead of playing as a terrible CO. Like in that Sonya mission, the mechs can be the real threat. The MD tanks can be difficult, but I have a plan in mind that should deal with them pretty well. Now I think Adder has like a recon somewhere around hereabouts. So I think it can move at 1, 2, 3, 4... 6, 7, 8. So I think if I walk my recon over, say, here, that he can't actually attack me. I'm going to try it at least. I will start taking pot shots at his lead MD tanks. Massive damage. My goal basically is to give him one obvious target on one side and give him no targets on the other side. That, I think, will convince him to direct most of his troops over toward the top side, where they'll all be clustered up, and I can then box them into a terrifying kill zone using my recons to block them up, and then use my infantry to rain missiles down on them. I think I will direct one recon down southward, though, because he's likely to send recons that way, and I want to be ready to deal with those. I'll redirect more of these folks up in that direction. And I'm going to have a shortage in vision here as I move my infantry over toward missiles and things like that, I think. But hiding them should keep him from going after them, so I think it's worth it. Alright, let's see if he takes the bait and if I successfully put my guys out of range. Okay, he definitely moved some guys south. It's not ideal. But I think he is clustering most of them up to the north, as I had hoped. So that's great. Okay, so he's got mechs on the river, he's got other mechs in the south, I'm sure. I am short on vision right now. I do want to fix that, probably. Okay, so now Grid has noticed the missile silos, because he didn't notice them being, constructed here while this was his headquarters. We get, of course, an introduction to missiles for both the Yellow Comet team and Blue Moon now. Grit isn't any different with missiles than anybody else's. They're the same for every possible CO. Well, I think that I should probably actually shoot at that mech, tempting though it is to gun down one of the MD tanks. The mechs are the real problem. If they get dealt with, nothing else is a threat in the same way. Walk over towards missiles. Let's see what we can scout over here. Okay. Unfortunate. I was hoping to have a mech in range. No such luck. I will just take out that recon, I think, before it becomes a problem. I know it seems counterintuitive to go for recon when there's MD tanks to be shot at, but I think this will work out pretty well. In particular, I think I want to make him save for his superpower, but not actually get it. So I think I'm going to shoot that MD tank. And let's see, what does that put him at? So if I shot down another MD tank, it shouldn't actually get him all the way. Therefore, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, he's close, but he's not going to get there. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, he can attack me there. I'm okay with that. I want to have, I think, his 3 HP MD tank blast away at my recon, accomplishing very little. And I'll just slowly choke him there while I move in the missiles. Getting all those guys clustered up in one side will make it a lot easier to just shower missiles onto them with maximum efficiency. I was right, so he will be quite slow in getting through that recon, especially if I reduce him to 2 HP at some point during all these fire exchanges. He was able to get into the mountain there. That part's unfortunate. Well, I could use this recon to weaken it. Or kill it. That will cause him to redirect some guys down that direction, I'm sure. But I think really that his mechs are the biggest problem right now. I know he's got one that's on the loose somewhere over here that can probably come up and attack me during a superpower. I have limited recourse against that, really. He does also have a lot of recons there, which is not great. I don't know why I sent them that direction. Maybe they start off there and they just kind of slowly walking them into position. In any case, he's going to get a superpower for sure this turn. But if I can cripple his mechs, he can't do that much running them onto the mountains if he only has one left. And I will weaken that recon, or take it out, just so he can't use it to harass my relatively small southern force. I could go for a first strike at him with my recon. It's not going to accomplish that much, but maybe I'll do so anyway. Or I could use it for scouting. I'll probably use it for scouting. That is their main function. I don't want to attack that 3 HP one that's slowly working on my recon. Leaving that alive is a great way to guarantee that he stays stalemated for the maximum length of time possible. Alright, so he's had to waste a lot of possible power buildup by just being pummeled this turn instead of last turn. I'm moving on to the missiles. I think things are looking pretty good. Just in case I'll move that recon down that way. Just in case he happens to have some way to break through by maybe some quirk of the AI making him pull back to do a join, or who even knows. Okay, let's see what you've got, Adder. I think his mech's going to come up and probably shoot my leftmost rocket, but we'll see. Alright, recon will take some damage, but that's okay. You know, his recon's now in artillery range, so I can take that out. Looks like he redirected one recon to the north, which is good for me. Okay, put something powerful into that force, probably a Floyd's BMD tank. Ah, okay, not the one I was expecting, but that's okay. I'll live, I'll get healed up slowly. I've got a little bit of time. Cool. Well, I should be able to take that one out, barring really bad luck. But I guess it would make sense for me to use my superpower this turn while I've got it. He will definitely try to join things up this turn. So I might as well just go for kills. I was hoping that would give me my super. No such luck, though. Well, I'm sure if I have this one exchange fire, that will do it. So, let's do that. Inefficient though it is. Super time. This isn't really true, of course. You know, he can hide, but he can't really run. But I guess it makes sense for Grit to lie to him and tell him to do the wrong thing. That's some hefty range on a mirror artillery, isn't it? I think I want that thing ruined. He's got another recon up there, which I know about, somewhere. Where exactly, I'm not sure. I don't want to have any full HP MD tanks left if I can avoid it, because those could break through my wall. We can't have that. In fact, I want to make him have as many of them that are in kind of the join threshold as possible. Maybe I will actually drive this one back up there. Okay, so he did have another MD tank, but I can stalemate that pretty well, I think. I might leave his 4 HP mech alive, oddly enough. I don't like the idea, but I think I have more important targets to go for. And I have more missiles available next turn, so it should be pretty easy to finish things off. Alright. Let's see if I made a mistake or if I was right about things there. Okay, he joined people up in the wood. That is annoying. I'll have to scout it with something to be able to shoot it at all. But I did successfully wall him, it looks like. I took out all of his ones that could potentially have punched through my recon. He does get to keep inflicting damage on me there. Painful, but I'll live. He's also running out of ammo, isn't he? Yep. Cool. Not much for this rocket to do, so I might as well just take out that mech. Now what do I want to do with my missile that I can launch? I think I want to scout that forest, so I'm going to use my artillery to take out that guy. Yeah, it might seem obvious to use the missile up there. Maybe I should have. But I'm thinking I can actually use a recon to take something out down there instead if I launch a missile at that group. Yeah, I think this is a fairly efficient approach. It allows me to kill people with a recon. Okay, well, I guess it died anyway, so I didn't need to kill it with a recon, but still. Ah, that guy's a little healthier than I thought he was. Down he goes, though. Luckily, he has nowhere to pull back to retreat to, so you don't need to deal with that. That would have been a major waste of time and a nuisance. You know, I probably shouldn't have put it that far ahead, because in that position he might be able to attack it from a place where my rockets can't fight back. Looks like he might just be down to one unit, though. So, I think this was a quite efficient approach to the mission. Very fast, 0 casualties. What more could you ask for? Got to slaughter him with recons, which is always pretty funny when you're fighting MD tanks. Alright, I think that's pretty much my favorite strategy for that fun mission. I don't quite get it. Is he about to, like, smack him or something?
Mission complete.
Alright, that's that. Quite a fun little mission. Better, I think, than the Sonya one, but even that one had some good moments to it. I'll see you all next time. Have a great day, everyone.